Good afternoon, everyone. In the last class, we have discussed regarding the transistor circuit configurations. So, what are the configurations that we have studied? The last 2 or 3 classes. Please respond.
Common base, common collector, common input.
Yeah, common base configuration, common emitter configuration, and common collector configuration. Right. So, out of these three configurations, your common emitter configuration is used mostly as an amplifier because both the voltage gain and the current gain both are greater than 1. Okay. Whereas your common collector configuration is used for when you want to have a impedance matching. Okay. So based upon the kind of requirement, you use the different configurations. We also dealt some numerical problems relating to the transistor configurations. We have seen the current gains alpha, beta, and gamma, right? So in today's class, we'll be discussing about the same configurations only, but we'll be uh, viewing these configurations from the perspective of the characteristics. So characteristics like input characteristics and output characteristics. Okay, so if you take two-port network, you'll have some input voltage, input current, output voltage, and output current, right? So all these four different parameters are not independent parameters. Some of these parameters are depending upon the other parameters. Something like your input voltage might be dependent on the output voltage, or your output current might be dependent upon input current, something like that. Okay, so we'll be discussing briefly about these three different configurations, which are common base configuration, common emitter configuration, and common collector configuration. Okay, so let us proceed into the PPT. Is my PPT visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So we have the three configurations. So before going into the each of the configurations, I'll give you a general layout of the configurations. So what you need to do is just a minute. You have to take the two-port network configuration. So you will consider the circuit as a two-port network. Okay, you have a two-port network. So to your transistor network, your transistor is within this black box. Okay, you have your input voltage, you have your input current, you have the output current, you have your output voltage. Okay, so whenever we are talking about these characteristics, we'll be drawing the graph between your input voltage versus input current and output voltage versus output current. If we're drawing the graph between input voltage versus input current, then it's said to be the input characteristics. So you'll have a graph between input voltage versus input current. Okay, this graph is said to be the input characteristics. However, here you should also remember that your input voltage, your input voltage will be a function of your input current okay, and also it will also depend upon your output voltage. Okay, so whatever the input voltage, so it is not an independent parameter. It is depending upon two different parameters, which are your input current and output voltage. And then similarly, you can have your output characteristics. So output characteristics are nothing but a graph between your output voltage and output voltage versus output current. So if you draw the graph between the output voltage versus output current, then it's said to be the output characteristics. Here your output current will depend upon, so I'll write it as a function of your output voltage and also the input current. Okay, so regardless of whatever the configuration that you're going to take, so this will be your general, I can tell that it's a kind of schematic diagram of your characteristics. So input characteristics will be between input voltage versus input current, where your input voltage will in turn depend upon your input current and output voltage. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to draw a graph between input voltage versus input current by fixing a output voltage. So if you're changing the output voltage, your graph is going to be shifted. Okay, you'll get a kind of a set of graphs. For different output voltage, you're going to get different graphs. Similarly, if you take the output characteristics, your output characteristics is nothing but a graph between your output voltage versus output current by fixing your input current. So for a given input current, you will be drawing a graph between output voltage versus output current. If you are changing the input current, your graph will be shifting. Okay, your graph will be slightly shifting up or down based upon the change that you are going to give in the input current. So for a given input current, the graph you are drawing between input output voltage versus output current, then you will call it as a output characteristics. Okay, so let us now dive into our configurations. So first one is your common base configuration. So this is your actual practical circuit diagram, okay, in which I'm initially considering a PNP transistor. So how do I am identifying the PN? So based upon this arrow mark. So here the arrow mark is between your emitter and base, and your arrow is headed towards the base. It means that your base is N-type material, your emitter is P-type material. So it is a PNP transistor. Okay, so for this I need to have, when I want to draw the graph, I need to have some changes in the voltages, right? Because I'm drawing the graph between voltage versus current, whether it is input characteristics or output characteristics. So I need to change the voltages. See, not to have a voltages, what I'm going to do is I'm going to either use a RPS. In the actual lab system, I'll be using a regulated power supply. Okay, so from which I'm going to change the DC voltage supply. However, you can also note, you can also uh, symbolize it as a using of a potentiometer. So here in the circuit diagram, we are using a resistor as a potentiometer setup. Okay, so your R1 is a variable resistor. So your rheostat has 3 terminals, 2 fixed terminals and 1 variable terminal. Okay, the 1 fixed terminal we are giving to the positive supply of the, and the fixed terminal to the negative terminal of the battery, and the output your variable terminal you are giving to the actual circuit. So your voltage across these 2 terminals can be varied by changing this slider. Okay, by changing this variable terminal you can change. So if you are keeping this terminal here, your voltage will be equal to 0. If you are keeping the terminal over here, your voltage will be equal to maximum voltage. The whatever the supply voltage that you are giving, you will be getting. Okay. Similarly, in a RPS, you will have a small knob will be there. If you are changing it in a clockwise manner from 0 to 30 volts, your voltage will be changing. Okay, so by any means you can do that. So major thing that you need to know is that we are using a variable DC voltage, not a fixed DC voltage. Similarly, here also I'm having another setup to give the output voltage a variable voltage. Okay, so because as you know that usually we keep the transistor in such a way that your emitter base junction is forward bias and collector base junction is reverse bias. That's why I'm using positive supply to the emitter, whereas I'm giving a negative supply to the collector. Okay, for a PNP transistor. Okay, so in order to measure the voltages, I'm using a voltmeter. I'm using a ammeter. Here also I'm using a voltmeter, I'm using a ammeter. You know that ammeter will be always in series and voltmeter are always in parallel. Okay, and the plus minus sign of your ammeter should be depend upon the direction of your current, because we already have seen that for a PNP transistor your IE is incoming current. So from the supply towards the transistor it is moving. So the supply, the terminals of your ammeter should be positive from the supply and negative towards the transistor. Okay, whereas for the collector side you know that IC is, so it is going from the transistor. So transistor side it is positive supply, positive terminal, negative is towards the supply. Okay, so you need to be careful even regarding this ammeter terminals when you are actually connecting in a practical circuit. Okay, in the voltmeter also terminals, here it is negative positive because your collector voltage is should be a reverse voltage or a negative voltage, whereas for the emitter circuit it is positive and negative. So these things you should keep it in mind. Okay, so we'll be trying, so in this circuit diagram, so I'll clear all of these things. So in this circuit diagram, what is your input current? Please tell me what is the input current? What is your input current? Whether it is IE or IB or IC? Which one is your input current?
IE, sir.
IE.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I am writing input current. Okay, so what is your input voltage? What is your input voltage?
VEB.
VEB. Yes, it is VEB. Okay, so VEB is your input voltage. So we are drawing the graph between. So what will be a graph looks like? On the y-axis you have your IE, on the x-axis you have your VEB. Okay, so initially consider that you do not have the collector circuit. Let us say that collector circuit is open. Okay, so I can say that if you consider, if you close the entire this circuit, if you only consider this portion, so how does it look like? Can I consider it as a PN junction diode?
Yes, sir.
Right? So obviously your characteristics will be very much similar to that of a PN junction diode, a forward bias PN junction diode. So your graph will be exponential. So your graph, clear this again. So graph will be in this manner. Okay, so this is your IE, this is your VEB. So you have a cut-in voltage, you have a exponentially rising current. Okay, so this is when I told that your VCB is open. Sorry, okay, your VCB output voltage, right? What is your output voltage?
VCB.
Output voltage is VCB. What is your output current? What is your output current?
IC.
IC, right? Yes.
IC, sir.
So already I told you that your input voltage, your input characteristics between your input voltage versus input current when you are fixing the output voltage. So this graph is for when VCB is equal to open. If you are changing the VCB value for different VCBs, you will get different graph. Okay, like this. You will get a different, so VCB1, VCB2, and so on. You'll get a set of graphs. This set of graphs are, we can call it as characteristics. So I can tell that your IE not only, your VEB not only depends upon your IE but also on your VCB. Okay, so let us check this graph. So the graph curve is plotted between emitter current IE and emitter base voltage VEB, and it is called input characteristic. So I am writing it as the function of your VEB is a function of input current IE and output voltage VCB. So when VCB is equal to 0 volts, this is the graph when you are increasing the voltage. So because for a PNP transistor, your collector base voltage is a reverse bias voltage. That's why we are writing the VCB as minus 10 volts. I am not writing it as a plus 10 volts. Maybe if I have taken the NPN transistor, I might have taken VCB as positive voltage, but it's a PNP transistor in which collector base junction is reverse biased. That's why your VCB is a negative voltage. Okay, so you're getting the set of graphs. Okay, so for this set of graphs, like for your PN junction diode, you can define your input resistance. Okay, so for a given graph voltage, so when VCB is equal to 0, you can define a dynamic resistance. I will write it as a input resistance. So what will be your R in your, what will be your dynamic resistance? Please tell me what will be your dynamic resistance? Forward dynamic resistance.
Delta V by delta I.
Yeah. So it is delta VEB by delta IE. So this is fixed for a, this is only for this graph. Okay. So this is for VCB is equal to 0 volts. Similarly, I can fix for VCB is equal to minus 10 volts. Then I will get the dynamic resistance for this graph. Okay, so for every graph you can have this different resistances. So by in general we'll be writing it as resistance, input resistance is equal to delta VEB by delta IE for VCB equal to constant. For a particular, you can have your particular resistance. Okay, so your input resistance Ri equal to delta VE by delta E at constant VCB. Okay, so before proceeding that, we shall see some points that are important from the characteristic graph. So as I told you earlier, your curve is very much similar to that of a diode characteristics in forward region. It's a forward bias diode characteristics. Here your PN emitter junction is, means emitter base junction is forward bias. Okay, so when the voltage of the base increases, base current increases, value of the emitter current increases slightly, and junction base. So everything is what I explained earlier. And here emitter current is slightly independent of your VCB. Okay, emitter collector current are slightly independent, not exactly independent, that's dependent. So if you are increasing the VCB, obviously the graphs are shifting. Okay, but for smaller voltages it is more or less independent, and IE increases rapidly with small increase in VEB. So your IE is mostly dependent upon your VEB because it's exponentially increasing graph. If there's a small change in VEB, there will be a large change in IE value. So as I told you, your input resistance is equal to delta VEB by delta IE. So I told you that for a small change in delta VEB, there will be a large change in delta IE, right? So the input resistance will be a small value or a large value. Delta VEB is small and your delta E will be large. So small by large means it's a very small value. So more or less like your diode. You know the diode forward bias, the resistance is
Small value.
very small, right? So input resistance of your common base configuration is very small. Okay, so input resistance very low, it will vary between few ohms to 10 ohms. Okay, it is mostly a single digit ohmic number. And then we have your output characteristics. Okay, so as I told you, output characteristics are nothing but your graph between your output voltage versus output current. Okay, so we have seen that what is your output voltage? Output voltage is VCB. Output current is IC. So obviously your graph will be between IC versus VCB. Okay, so your output characteristics graph will be between your VCB versus IC. Okay, and I told you that your output current will depend upon your output voltage and also upon input current. Okay, so your input current is nothing but your emitter current. So that's why I'm writing IC as a function of VCB and I2, because I want to specify that earlier function, this function might be different functions. So I'm writing it as F2. Okay, so F2 of VCB comma IE. So your IC will depend upon both VCB and IE. But if you observe the graph, you can tell that your graph is, so this is your graph. So most portion of your graph is more or less flat. Isn't it flat? Please observe and tell me. Your graph is almost horizontal, right? Slope is almost
Yes,
parallel
sir.
to the x-axis, right? So
Yes,
I
sir.
can say that your IC is almost constant for a given graph. So for a given IE, your irrespective of your VCB, whether your VCB is increasing or decreasing, irrespective of that, your IC is nearly constant. So IC is nearly constant. That's why you're getting that almost a horizontal flat graph, right? So your IC is more dependent on your IE value. Okay, so if you check the graph, when I have I equal to 2.5 milliamperes, your IC is also nearly equal to 2.5 milliamperes. When I am having I equal to 2 milliamperes, your IC is also nearly 2 milliamperes. When I have I is nearly equal to 1.5 milliamperes, I am also getting IC value nearly equal to 1.5 milliamperes. So I can tell that your IC is nearly equal to IE. Can I tell so? In a common base configuration. Hello, please respond. Please respond. In a common base configuration, can I tell IC is nearly equal to IE?
Yes, sir.
How you are getting this? So if you remember this equation, you know that IC is equal to alpha IE plus ICB naught. Do you remember this equation? IC equal to alpha IE plus ICB naught. Can you recall this equation?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. You know that ICB naught is a very minute current. It will be in microamperes. So I'm neglecting. If you neglect this ICB naught, and you also know that alpha value is nearly 1. It will be maybe 0.98 or 0.99. Okay. So I can tell that if you take alpha as 1, nearly equal to 1. If I write alpha is nearly equal to 1, I can write that IC is nearly equal to IE. That's why your graph is almost flat in nature. So irrespective of your VCB, your graph is almost constant graph. Okay, it only depends upon the IE. If you are increasing the IE value, your IC values are going to increase. Okay, so if you see this graph, if you do some, we'll take some special conditions. When IE equal to 0, when your IE equal to 0, let me erase all this. When IE equal to 0, so if you replace this equation, IC equal to alpha IE plus ICB naught. So what happens when your IE equal to 0? If you replace IE equal to 0, what will be your ICE value?
ICB not, sir.
ICB naught. That's why when IE equal to 0, your IC is not equal to 0, but it's small value ICB naught. Okay. This ICB naught will be in the range of microamperes. So it's mostly coinciding with the origin. Only to show you, we have written that graph. But if you see in reality, this graph, this line will be coinciding mostly with your x-axis, because this is only in microamperes, whereas all other currents are in milliamperes, right? So almost this will be coinciding with your uh, x-axis. Okay. So although you do not have any emitter current, you still have a small current because of the reverse saturation current in your between your base and collector region. Okay, and the region where you're getting this flat characteristics is known as active region. So active region is the region where you are operating the transition such a way that your emitter base junction is forward bias emitter base is forward biased, collector base junction is reverse biased. So if you are operating in such a condition, then you'll get the graph in this region. So this portion of the characteristic is known as active region. Okay, so active region is the where you are going to use your transistor as your amplifier. Okay, and the region below this I equal to 0 milliamperes. So what happens when I is less than 0 milliamperes? So I mean to say that your emitter base is reverse biased, your collector base is also reverse biased. Okay, so when both are reverse biased, then that portion of the graph is said to be cutoff region. So this entire region, this region below I equal to 0 milliamperes, this area of the graph is said to be cutoff region. Cut off region. Okay. Okay. So cutoff region, you will employ a transition cutoff region when you want to use a transistor as a switch in open condition. If you want to use a transistor as an open switch, then you will be operating the transistor in cutoff region. Okay. So in cutoff region, your transistor acts like a open switch. You should remember this application. Open switch. Okay. So whenever you are operating a transistor in cutoff region, then your transistor acts like an open switch. Okay. So even though you are giving the input, you will not have any output. Okay. And then you have another region called saturation region. So if you see the region where your voltage is your voltage VCB is positive, your VCB is positive. This the if you see the graph, I'll erase all the ink. So if you see the graph on what is the x-axis, VCB is a positive values or negative values you are seeing on the graph.
Negative values.
Why it is negative values? Why VCB is negative?
Reverse saturation.
In reverse bias, your collector base junction should be in reverse bias, right? So that's why on x-axis you are seeing I'm writing the graph in negative values. But in case if you take the VCB as positive values, so these are the positive values. So on the right hand side I'm taking negative values. So on the left hand side I will be taking positive values. In case if you are taking even small values of your VCB positive values, then what happens is your relationship will not be like in your active region. Here you can say that even for small change in your voltage, you will be seeing a sudden rise in current. So this is almost like exponential graph. Okay, this is almost like exponential graph will be there. Steep graph will be there. Okay, this region is known as saturation region. Saturation region. So in this characteristics, this region is known as saturation region. In the saturation region, your emitter base junction is forward bias because your I is greater than 0, and also your collector base junction is also forward bias. So both the regions, both the junctions are forward biased only. In such a conditions, you will get this characteristics in this manner. So usually we will operate the transition saturation region only if we want to use the transistor as a closed switch. So when your transistor is in saturation region, your transistor acts like a closed switch. Okay. So I can tell if you compare this applications. So whenever your transistor in cutoff region, your transistor acts like a open switch. Whenever your transistor is in active region, it acts like an amplifier. Whenever your transistor is in saturation region, your transistor acts like a closed switch. Okay, based upon your application, you're going to use the transistor in a particular operating region. Okay, so whenever you do not want transistor, if you want to employ the transistor as an open circuit or open switch, then you'll be using it in cutoff region. So if you want to use it in cutoff region, what you are going to do, you are going to keep both the emitter base junction your collector based junction in reverse bias. Okay, so when you want to employ it as a closed switch, okay, then or a short circuit, more or less like a short circuit, then what you are going to do, you are going to employ the collector based junction and emitter based junction, both the junctions in forward bias. Okay, but in case if you want to use that transistor as an amplifier, then you need to keep the emitter based junction in forward bias and collector based junction in reverse bias. Okay, is that clear? Is that clear to you? Or do you have any doubts? You can ask me. Okay, so next we'll move on to this. From the characteristic graph, so whatever I have told you, so everything will be the same. So in the active region, know that collector based junction is reverse bias and collector current IC is almost equal to IE. Okay, so IC is nearly equal to IE. That's the thing here it is given. And usually transistor is operated in this region. So most of the times transistor is used not as a switch but as an amplifier. But in case if you want to use it as a switch, then you will not be using in the active region. Okay, and because I also told you that your graph is almost flat, right? So your IC is independent of your output voltage VCB. So your IC is practically independent of your output voltage VCB. But in case if you're further increasing the voltage VCB, if you're further increasing the voltage, so till let us say that till this region your IC is independent of your VCB and your graph is almost flat, but you're further increasing the voltage, then what happens is this graph will extend like this. Suddenly what happens is, what happens when your diode, when you're increasing the reverse voltage of a diode, what happens? What happens when it breaks down, right?
Occurs.
Yeah, so same thing occurs here. So if you are increasing the reverse voltage across your collector based junction, your collector based junction, the depletion region will be broken down, okay, and a large reverse current will flow. Okay, so your ICB naught value will be there, right? So instead of ICB naught, you will have a large reverse current, so your current will suddenly starts rising. Okay, so graph will shift like this, but usually will not go into the breakdown region for a transistor. Okay, so that's why usually your graph will not be in most of the textbook. The graph, this portion will not be shown, but if you want to show that, you can also do that, not a problem. But you should know that usually your IC is independent of your VCB for smaller values of your VCB. But in case if you are increasing the VCB beyond a point, your IC increases rapidly due to avalanche breakdown. Okay, this is not shown in the characteristics. So if you want to show in the characteristics, you can show in this manner. Suddenly there will be a rise in current. Okay, it is because of the breakdown. Okay, and the curves of your active region are almost flat, and only the large changes in VCB produce only small change in IC. So if you take the output resistance, what will your output resistance? R naught. What will your output resistance? R naught. I'll clear this. What will be your output resistance? R naught. Please tell me, how do you write the output resistance? R naught. Please respond.
Delta VCB by delta IC.
Yeah, delta VCB by delta IC. Okay, this is for a particular IE. So for a particular graph, so for a particular, when you fix this IE value for this graph, this will be, you can have define your output resistance. So I can write that R naught is equal to delta VCB by delta IC for a given when IE is fixed or IE is constant. Okay, so this is how you are going to define your output resistance. And know that although you are changing the VCB, okay, your IC is not going to change because you have kept the IE value as constant. If you are fixing the IE value, your IC value is not going to change. So I can say that your R naught is equal to large change in output voltage divided by small change in output current. So what will be your output resistance? High value or low value? Large by small.
Large value.
So large value, right? So your output resistance will be a very large value. Okay. So in a transistor in CB configuration, you are going to see that you have a small input resistance and a large output resistance. Okay. So you have a very high output resistance or not. Okay. And if you are taking the VCB as positive instead of negative, then it's said to be in saturation state, in which collector current does not depend upon emitter current. You can see this in this graph. In this region, your IC is not depending upon your IE. Only in the active region, your IC is nearly equal to IE. Whereas in the saturation region, your IC is independent of your IE. It is in this region, it is mostly depending upon your VCB in the saturation region. Okay. So this is called saturation state or saturation region. Okay. So when the emitter current is 0, your collector current is not 0, but it's equal to your ICB naught. Okay. And you know the ICB naught will be in the microamperes region. And it depends upon your temperature. If you have a large temperature, you can see large ICB naught value. Okay. So what different values are given for silicon transistor and germanium transistor. So already we have defined the output resistance. It's a ratio of change in collector base voltage to the change in collector current at constant emitter current IE. Okay. So because the change in collector current is very little with change in VCB, output resistance is very high. It's in the order of kilo ohms. It's in the order of kilo ohms. So whenever you're asked to write about any transistor characteristics, so you need to explain about the input characteristics, and when you're explaining regarding the output characteristics, you need to explain all the three regions. You need to explain about active region, and then about the cutoff region, and also about the saturation region. So only then your answer will be complete. However, in the PPT, I have only explained these three regions only for the common base configuration. So for the remaining configuration also, your explanation will be more or less the same. Okay. So in this active region, your emitter junction is forward biased, whereas collector junction is reverse biased. Okay. So when IE equal to 0, your IC value will be equal to ICB naught. Okay. So in the active region, your collector current is independent of your collector voltage, but only depends upon your emitter current. So IC will be nearly equal to IE, and it is almost independent of your output voltage, that is your collector voltage. Okay. And then because your effect called early effect, I'll tell you what is early effect at a later stage. What you need to remember that because of early effect, there will be a small increase in IC value with VCB. So if you observe this graph, I told you this graph is almost flat, right? Almost horizontal and parallel to x-axis. I'm only telling that I'm stressing on the word almost, but it's not exactly horizontal, right? So it means that there is a small increase in current when you're increasing the VCB value. Okay, this is because of the effect called early effect. Okay, I will explain you the early effect when I'm dealing with the common emitter configuration. But for now, you need to remember that there will be a small increase in IC with the VCB. That's only small, say as small as only 0.5%. Very small. Okay, so almost flat, but not exactly flat. Okay, this is because of the effect called early effect. Okay, and because your alpha is nearly equal to unity, your IC is nearly equal to IE, but less than IE. Because IC is equal to, if you take IE, your alpha is less than 1. So IC will be less than IE. Next, in saturation region is to the left of VCB equal to 0. So for VCB equal to positive values, when VCB is positive, then, and also for IE is positive, IE is also positive, then in this region you will get the saturation region. Okay, and then for a PNP transition it is slightly positive. It is not large value, it's only slightly positive. Even for small slightly positive values of VCB, you will be seeing a large current in the output. Okay, so even for small changes in VCB, you will see a large change in collector current. So I can say that in the saturation region, your output resistance is very small. Okay, in saturation region, your output resistance will be very small. Okay, I told you that your current will increase exponentially with the voltage when it is in saturation region. Only in saturation region, your current will exponentially increase with the voltage. Okay, and the region below your I equal to 0, that is when both emitter and collector junctions are reverse bias. It is called as cutoff region. And coming to the applications, cutoff region is used when the transistor should act like open circuit or open switch. Saturation region is used when it transistor should act like a closed switch. Active region is used when the transistor should act like an amplifier. Okay. So next we'll move on to the common emitter configuration. Okay. So in the common emitter configuration, your emitter terminal is common to both the input and output terminals. So what is your input current over here? What is your input current? Please respond. Input current is IB. You know that input current is very small. Here IB is very small. Compared to IC and IE, your IB is very small. So IB is only the recombination current, right? So IB mostly consists of recombination current. So that's why your IB is very narrow. It's in the range of microamperes. So unlike the previous case where we have taken the CB configuration, we have taken both the ammeters as milliamperes ammeters. Here we are using microamperes range ammeter. Okay, can you see that difference? In the earlier case, when you are using the ammeters, here you can see that I have used the milliamperes range ammeter because here we are measuring IE. IE will be in milliamperes, whereas if you want to measure IB will be in microamperes range only. That's why in common emitter configuration, I'm going for a microamperes range. I'm going for a microamperes range ammeter. Okay, and then your what is your input voltage? What is your input voltage?
VBE,
Input
sir.
voltage is VBE. Okay, so this is your VBE. So VBE. So here also we are using a potentiometer kind of setup, but in actual lab we are going to use a regulated power supply. Okay. And what type of transistor is this? Is an NPN transistor or PNP transistor? We can use both the transistors.
NPN, sir.
Yeah, NPN transistor. Okay. So in this, because I want to cover both the configurations at the same time, I'm using here NPN transistor, unlike the PNP transistor in CE configuration, in CB configuration. So this is your arrow mark is between base and emitter. Your arrow mark is towards the emitter. So emitter is N type, base is P type. So it's a NPN transistor. Okay. And coming to the output current, what is your output current? What is the output current? IC. Okay. What's your output voltage?
VCE.
VCE. Okay. So for a PNP transistor, we have taken that IE is incoming, IB, ICR outgoing, right? This for PNP transistor. But if you are taking a NPN transistor, your IE will be outgoing, your IB and IC will be incoming. Okay. So only all the symbols will be reversed. So incoming current will now become for NPN transistor, it will be outgoing current. So that's why if you see the direction of currents in the circuit, you can see that IB is incoming current, IC is also incoming current, whereas IE is outgoing current. Can you identify this difference? Please respond.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So because it's an NPN transistor. For a PNP transistor, IE will be incoming, IB/IC will be outgoing. Okay. So actually these things are important when you are doing the lab session. Ours is an integrated subject in which you need to do the lab parallelly with your theory. Okay. So once you are coming to the college, we'll be doing all those experiments also. Okay, we need to do all these experiments, especially CE configuration is very much important. Okay, so we'll be doing this experiment in the lab session. That's why I'm very much stressing on this current directions. Okay, here also for having different VCE values, we are using a potentiometer kind of setup. Potentiometer kind of setup, where you have having a 3 terminals of the rheostat I'm using. By changing the variable terminal of the rheostat, I can change the voltage value. Okay. Now you should tell me what will be the input characteristic graph. What will be on x-axis, what will be on y-axis for input characteristics.
On x-axis VB and y-axis IB.
Yeah. Okay. So on x-axis VBE, on y-axis IB. So your setup graph, so which value should be kept constant when you want to draw this graph? Which value should be kept constant?
VCE.
What? VCE, right?
CE,
So your
VCE.
graph should be between VBE versus IB for a constant VCE. For a constant output voltage, the graph will be drawing. If you are changing the VCE value, your graph will be shifting. Okay. Similarly, what will be your output? This is your input characteristics. How you will draw the output characteristics?
On
What will be your
x-axis
x-axis?
VCE.
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 Yeah. On y-axis?
IC.
IC.
IC. Okay. And which value you should keep constant for output characteristics?
BC.
No. For output characteristics, your input current should be kept constant. What is the input current? What's the input current?
Sir, IB.
IB. Right. So when you're drawing the output characteristics, your IB should be kept constant. Okay. For a different IB values, you will get different shifts in graphs. Okay. If you're changing the IB value, the graph will be shifting. Okay. And now here also you should observe that your IC value, your current is flowing from supply towards the transistor. It's an incoming current. That's why you can see the ammeter directions. Here it is plus, here it is minus. Earlier your current direction in a PNP transistor, it was plus over here, minus over here. So this is for PNP transistor, whereas this NPN transistor, where your collector current is flowing towards the transistor. Okay. So this sign of your ammeter is also important because it is not your alternating current. It's a DC current. Okay, for a DC current, your ammeter that you are going to use is a what type of ammeter you are going to you have to use? You have to use moving coil type of instrument. Whenever you are using DC measurements, you have to use moving coil or MC type of instruments for DC. MC is for DC. If you are going to use for AC measurements, then you have to use moving iron or MI type of instrument when you are measuring AC quantities. Okay, these things you should remember because for every lab, whether it's a circuits lab or your analog electronics lab, so wherever any lab, whether it's a power electronics lab, whenever you're going for AC measurements, you have to use MI type of instruments. Whenever you're going for DC measurements, you have to use MC type of instruments. Okay, so MI instrument does not have any sign. You can connect to any of the terminals. Okay, whereas for the DC instruments or the MC type of measurement, MC type of instruments, these terminals are very much important. If you reverse connect the terminals, then your pointer will move below 0 and will break. Okay, sure, your instrument will get damaged. So now I'll go to the next slide. So input characteristics, as you have told, it's between VBE versus IB. Your VB is in volts, whereas your IB is in microamperes. Okay, you are drawing the graph for different VCE values because you are using your NPN transistor. For NPN transistor, when your collector junction will be your reverse biased. When your collector junction will be reverse biased, you have NPN transistor, NPN. So your collector is N-type material, right? Isn't it?
When connect.
So when you connect the positive supply to the collector, then your collector junction will be reverse biased, right? So that's why your VCB value, your VCE values will be positive. It will not be negative. Okay. If you see the VCE values, they are positive values. So let us see for a given value. So when VC is equal to 2 volts, again you are getting the graph very similar to that of your PN junction diode, because your emitter base junction is still a forward biased PN junction diode, right? That's why you get the graph in this manner. So if you are increasing the voltage, your graph is shifting towards the right. Okay. So I can say that your IB is mostly dependent on VBE value, because for small change in VBE you can see the large change in IB value, and also it also depends upon VCE value. Okay. Now what will be your input resistance? That's what I am writing here. VB is a function of IB, VC. What? Please respond.
Delta VBE by delta IB.
Okay. You tell me. So VB is a function of IB and VCE. So what will be your input resistance? Input resistance is equal to delta VBE by delta IB.
Delta IB.
For constant
VCE.
VC. So VC is equal to constant, then you get that. So from the graph you have to tell me whether input resistance will be a large value or a small value. You can see that delta VB is very small, whereas delta IB is very large, right? So Ri equal to small value by large value.
Small value.
So what we are?
Small value.
So small. So input resistance for a common emitter configuration is also small. Okay. But compared to CB configuration, but if you compare with CB configuration, it's slightly higher. Okay. So I can say that Ri in CB configuration is less than Ri in CE configuration. But still your Ri will be a small value only. But in CB it is very small. However, in CE configuration it is slightly small. It is not very small. It is not too small. Okay. So next. So Ra is equal to delta V by delta IB at constant VCE. This is what we have seen. Next we shall move on to the output characteristics. Okay. In the output characteristics, so what will be the output voltage? Output voltage is VCE, whereas output current is IC, right? So you are drawing the graph between VCE versus IC. Okay. For a given IB, input current is IB. For if you are changing the input current, you are going to change the output current also. So IC is also here. Also you can see that the graph is nearly flat. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Can you see that? So here also your current is flat, but if you compare with the CB configuration, it is not much flat. So if you consider that a CB is very much horizontal, it will not be very much horizontal, but it will be slightly on increasing note. It will be flat, but compared to CB configuration, it is slightly increasing graph. Okay. So that's what it is saying. The slope of the curve is quite more than that of the CB configuration. Okay. and then output resistance. So what will be your output resistance? Tell me the output resistance formula.
Delta VCE by delta IC.
Delta VCB by delta IC when
VCE,
which
sir.
were when IB is
IC,
constant.
sir.
Input current is constant. For one given IB value, you are drawing the graph. If you change the IB value, your graph is shifting. Okay, when
Sir, it's
IB is
delta
constant.
VCE,
Sir, VCE
Delta,
by IC.
sorry,
VCE.
delta VCE. Yeah, delta VCE. Thanks for correcting. It's delta VCE by delta IC. Okay. Delta VCE by delta IC when IB is constant. So you can see that irrespective of VCE, your IC is almost constant. So I can say that R naught again. So VCE is large, whereas IC is change in IC is small. So here also I can say that your R naught will be a relatively large value. Okay. But however, this will be not very small. Your delta IC will be comparatively larger than your CB configuration. Your delta IC in CE configuration will be slightly large than this. Okay. So I can say that output resistance is in common base is large. So if this is large, okay. So this R naught value in CE configuration will be slightly smaller than R naught in CB configuration. Okay. So output resistance in CB configuration will be much larger than output resistance in CE configuration. Okay. Because here I can say that it's not completely flat, but it's slightly increasing graph. So your delta IC will be a larger value compared to your delta IC in CB configuration. Okay. So if you compare the output resistance of a CB configuration with CE configuration, your CB configuration resistance will be higher than, so I can write that R or output resistance in CB will be higher than output resistance in CE. Okay. If you comparatively say, but obviously if you even if you do not compare, your output resistance will be large value. Okay. So we will move on to the so before I move on, I need to tell you regarding this early effect. So this early effect I'll better cover in the upcoming classes because this is important. So I'll stop the class over here. So till now, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll stop the class. Okay. If you have any doubts regarding the class, you can ask me. Please respond. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll stop the class over here.